Hey guys, welcome to Deep Mirror Readings. These readings will address what was the old mirror, what does the inner child really want, what's the inner challenge in order to shift, what's the current outer challenge to overcome that's reflecting that inner process, what's the potential outcome if you don't shift, what's the potential outcome if you do shift. What's the guidance spirit has in your highest good to help you shift into that new mirror? And what does the mirror look like? This is secret code name Obsidian. If you would like to know what secret code names are and watch the shuffle, that is in a link in the description. I did all the shuffling in a separate live to kind of streamline these reads and get right into the message. So, secret code name Obsidian. What do we have here? Okay. Secret code name Obsidian. The old mirror is king. Hey Risa, hey Kiki, how you doing? So the shadow that you were in were excessive feelings of entitlement or rulership without restraint. This is the old mirror, where you are doing things or demanding things or connecting with people to serve you, right? And maybe not taking other people into consideration as much as you could have, right? Not to say you weren't considering other people at all, but it may have started like, yeah, I'll consider you, but only to the extent that it serves me. And really needing to get more into that equal exchange of service. The light, which is what you'd be feeling more now, is enlightened, benevolent leadership benefiting those in your charge. You know, it's not about what they can do to serve you so much as it's what you can do to be in your light and also serve others, right? That those under your charge, that those you keep close to you would benefit from your presence as much as you benefit from theirs, right? Hey, Kristen, how you doing? And I think that's a big one, you know, the best kings were the ones who cared about the entire kingdom, right? Like that would be the difference between, like if you're a Game of Thrones fan, that would be the difference between Cersei and Jon Snow. You know, everything Jon Snow did, he was doing it for the people that he cared about. He was doing it for everyone, where Cersei was just all about herself, all about power, all about control. And it's very different, you know, to only care about a select few people around you and end up, you know, being the cause of their pain, right? Cersei's misaligned king, quote unquote, king energy ended up hurting all of her children. You know what I mean? It ended up hurting the person that she loved the most. It ended up causing the downfall of her family's reign, where Jon Snow didn't even want to be king, and yet people followed him and declared him king, you know, because he was what true kings were made of. You know, everything he did for the North. He didn't do it for himself. He didn't even do it for his family. He did it for the benefit of the greatest good for the entire Northern Kingdom. And I think that that's, you know, noteworthy as far as where you used to be and where you are now. So, what does the inner child really want? Sexuality and love. Openness, sharing, beauty, honor, kindness, benevolence, right? Synchronistic words, sharing, synchronistic words on both cards, and receiving, right? When we look at these two energies, it's very complete. It's very complete. You want love that feels good. You want to be kind and receive kindness in return. You want to honor yourself, which means honoring others who honor you as a love language. You want to be able to feel intimate as a sacred act, as opposed to a required act, right? You want to be driven to physical intimacy because it feels so good to be deeply connected with someone like that. To be able to give yourself sacredly to someone else and exchange that sacredness, you know, that they are also giving you very sacred energy in that closeness because there's an honor there. To be able to receive love in its truest form, which is not just being valued. It's knowing that you've connected with someone on such an intimate level that they have taken in your being, your presence as a part of themselves, that your happiness and your thriving fills them, and vice versa, right? That you would be able to take in someone else into that part of yourself, to become a part of yourself and love them and honor them as an extension of yourself. That's what your inner child really wants, right? So the current inner challenge, in order to shift, it says they mean well, but they are wounded. Keep taking their guidance and you are only wounding yourself. Their story is not your story. So you may have gotten advice recently from someone, or it may be advice that's sitting inside your thoughts rent-free from someone that was meant to love you, but didn't necessarily know what love is. You know, someone who maybe taught you that love is a transactional kind of exchange, where they do this for you and you do that for them, and that makes the wheels keep spinning. When it's an empty exchange, right? It's not a sacred exchange. It's an exchange out of ego and fear and necessity to keep life moving. It's trauma attraction versus sacred attraction. Know that they meant well, like they didn't mean to give you quote unquote bad advice, but the advice that they gave you at the time they gave it, when the time when you were vulnerable, right? And it soaked into your mind like a sponge. It was a wounded place for them, right? It's not that they didn't mean well. They gave you the best advice that they could give you with their knowledge at the time. But it was wounded knowledge, and you knowingly or unknowingly started living by it, right? And it's created this real gap in connection You know, it really was about what can someone do for me to make my life better, and not enough about what can I also do for them to make their life better. Because I want to, right? Because they want to, not because of need, right? Not because they need me to, or because I need them to, but because there is a reciprocal want, right? This exchange of want to be better for someone and vice versa. What's the current outer challenge to overcome that's reflecting that inner process? We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. This reflects, right, this challenge, this old challenge reflects into your experience by not being able to ground a solid foundation and being impatient, right? With the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. It's feeling like the success is unfulfilled and being impatient, trying to get it, right? Wanting the sacredness, but not necessarily knowing how to establish the sacredness. And so therefore that foundation is never solid and you're constantly chasing it, right? Chasing that feeling of sacred exchange, wanting to want someone, but finding yourself in a position where even if you were trauma attracted initially, you didn't want them. As time continued to unfold, the foundation wasn't solid. And so you stop waiting, right? You stop building, get frustrated. This isn't working. And it's not because it wasn't quote unquote working. It just wasn't meant to be. That sacred connection wasn't there because you just weren't in that vibration yet, right? What's the potential outcome if you don't shift? We have the Eight of Swords with the Sun and the World card. I feel, especially with the Eight of Swords, it's the feminine energy, right? Where the masculine is in the background. And the feelings that you're having cut or wound other people. And you just move on, you know, in your own light and close the door, not realizing that you left someone else with wounds. You being trapped inside your own mind about who you are and what you deserve, right? In this king's shadow. Closes doors. And it does leave you feeling rather beaten, but it puts you on guard, puts you on edge. Constantly feeling like you want to birth something into the reality, but never birthing anything into the reality that's worth sticking. It's almost like a constant or consistent pattern. No matter how many, you know, days, weeks, months, years that pattern unfolds over, where you end up hurting people, right? Where you end up hurting people. Like where you are deserving of quote unquote worship. So are they. So are they. And it either works, you guys together either work or you don't. But you can't force what's not in alignment to be in alignment, or leave someone feeling like the way that they loved was not good enough because of how dissatisfied you were that you didn't want them, right? To not get to that point. Because either you want them and they want you from the gate, and they showcase that energy of want, of bringing you into their energy as an extension of themselves. Either they want to do that from the beginning or they don't. And if you feel like you need to force that desire in them forward to want to serve you, when you don't actually want to serve them and bring them on as an extension of yourself, you're only going to leave that person hurt. And you're only going to take on bruises, you know, of your own choosing, you know. So if you don't shift, you're going to continue in that pattern of seeking and never finding, right? The potential outcome, if you do shift, that's the Two of Cups, where the hearts are connected, right? Where they want to be together. I water you and you water me, and it feels amazing. That beautiful connection. So if you can heal this, right, and really get into that mindset of, who do I want to love as an extension of myself? Because their joy is my joy, and vice versa. That I would receive that energy in return, that someone would want to love me as an extension of themselves, because witnessing my joy, my peace, brings them joy and peace. I think if you can get out of this old shadow, that the new mirror, right, the potential outcome when you shift is truly connected partnership. So what is the guidance that Spirit has to help you shift into the new mirror? And then we're going to pull some cards and get into what the actual new mirror looks like. So we got Medicine, Wisdom, and Earth Goddess. Cards 28 and 44. Medicine, Wisdom. It says, you are a wild woman. You have the spiritual gift of medicine wisdom, the healing way of the sacred feminine. This soul wisdom and healing ability comes from Mother Nature, her seasons and weather, her landscapes, and the particular life that they support, including her animals, plants, and crystals. All have their own unique purpose in healing. Learning to recognize the signs, to feel for their meaning, to listen for guidance, and activate the medicine wisdom in yourself, and your life is your training as a true medicine woman of the soul. Listening, intuiting, feeling, experiencing, trusting. These are the ways you begin to tap into and harness the grace, beauty, and power of the sacred feminine for healing purpose. When you live your life from a place of playful connection, reverence, and gratitude for the divine feminine, she will love and empower you to accomplish things that you could never do on your own. She is infinitely practical, divine being, able to help you with every aspect of your life on earth, and through you to help others too. She is asking you to trust her, to let go of logic or believing that you have to accomplish it all on your own. Let yourself be in creative partnership with the divine feminine, with Mother Nature, as your earthly cares are provided for with ease and grace. You can dedicate your energy and focus to discovering and expressing your talents, which is how you fulfill your life purpose. You are the medicine, right? When you trust in your divine feminine energy, the divine feminine, for those who are new to these terms, the divine feminine is your intuition. It is literally the voice of the divine within you. That is how the divine speaks to you directly. It lets you know what would or wouldn't serve you and your highest good to continue with, and you can acknowledge it sooner than later, right? Spirit will give you red flags. You'll realize that you're making excuses for or negating certain things or choosing to ignore certain things, and those things are out of alignment. right? The reason why we start doing those things is because we in our minds, right, the egoic mind or the wounded mind, where we don't listen to the intuition, is setting us up for a lesson that we can choose to not go down that road, you know? Like beings, this is about soulmates, right? We're talking about love, we're talking about sacred sex, we're talking about, you know, high relationships of embrace and want versus need. I was talking to a couple of different people. One was genuinely a nice guy, awesome guy, but I didn't feel that connection. I didn't feel the desire to bring him in as a part of myself. And I would have been in a king's shadow had I walked that path. And I just simply chose not to. You know, I let him know that it was him. It was just an incompatibility thing, which it really was. And then I was talking to someone else, just as friends, but I realized that at some point I was going to fall for this person and want more. And so I was just very open and honest with them, you know, about where I was with it. And before the feelings were actually caught or got too deep, like I needed to know if that exchange or desire was shared and that potential path was possible, or if I just needed to let it go right now. And it wasn't returned. And I'm glad that I had that conversation because there were red flags and I was ignoring them. You know what I mean? I was ignoring them. Or I would have wanted to bring him in and love him as an extension of myself. That would not have been returned. And so, you know, being the medicine, whoever you are ultimately meant to connect with, it comes when you stop seeking service and start to seek a shared desire to honor, right? To honor. And I think that's going to be big, right? Getting into your new mirror. The second card, Earth Goddess. It says, you have beautiful dreams and wonderful visions of what life could be. It is not enough to imagine them. You want to live them. This is exactly how you are meant to feel. For that to happen, you must practice feeling grounded, taking practical earthly steps one at a time to bring your dreams to life. The universe will send so much help your way, but you are the one who must take the steps. Spirit cannot do that for you. Even if you are not sure how your biggest, boldest dreams can come together, you can still ask yourself, what is it that I can do now? Sometimes it will be an obvious action that you can take, and sometimes you will need to pray and meditate and ask for the way to be shown. When you can do something, do it. When you cannot, rest and wait for your intuition to nudge you when the time is right to take the actions. Remember, you are an earth goddess. You have the power to manifest your visions, to bring your beautiful ideas to life in the world. This is what you are here to do. Remember to love yourself enough to recognize your creative power and use it joyfully each day. It says, if you can, lie on the earth or rest somewhere that feels right for you. Imagine, feel, visualize, or pretend that the earth energy is rising up through your feet into your belly and then up to your heart. She is giving you a Shaktipat, a boost of divine feminine energy from the great goddess to help you feel confident in your own power. This is truly that mantra of, dear Spirit, whatever you would have me do, whatever you would have me say, wherever you would have me go, if it is in the highest good of all, so be it. Allowing yourself to be grounded. We do want certain things, and we can obtain and receive those things, but not if we're ignoring red flags, not if we're not catching our own trauma patterns, right? Making excuses for people or chasing after something that's not focused on reciprocating, where you're always feeling like you need to initiate first and they're not initiating. Or if they're constantly initiating first and you don't want to respond because you're just not into it, or you're only responding to be polite. This is about getting really honest with what you would do if you were taking Spirit's guidance. What you would say if you were taking Spirit's guidance, where you would be if you were taking Spirit's guidance, and knowing that it's in the highest good. Sometimes we do just have to have those divine conversations. Like, I know you're interested in me, but I don't think that we're compatible. I'm sorry. If I continue down this road with you, I know I'm only going to hurt you, and I don't want to do that. Or, hey, this is how I feel. I'm interested in you, and I need to know if you're kind of interested in me too, or if it could potentially go in that direction. Because if you're just not interested in me, then I'm going to put my focus elsewhere and let it go, respectfully. Because I don't want to end up on the hurt end. Because I already see some potential, and if you don't see it too, then maybe it's best to let it go. And really embracing the fact that the divine feminine energy within yourself, trusting those feelings, will help turn you into a magnet to the place and the people that you are truly meant to be connected to, instead of being those two magnets that can never touch because, they're in opposite energy spectrums, right? Where it's not conducive to coming together. When you start to embrace that feminine energy within yourself, you really will find that magnet that connects with you, that does not want to pull apart. Like, reality would have to pull you apart by fucking force, like external forces beyond your control, because there's nothing in those two magnets that wants to separate. And with no external force, they'd stay connected forever. The magnets would never fall apart. You know what I mean? So let's see. What does this new mirror look like? For secret code name Obsidian. What does this new mirror look like? Hey Megan, how you doing? What does this new mirror look like? For secret code name Obsidian. Yeah, we got the 10 of Cups. First card out. The Tower. The Hanged One. Give me one more in clarities, please. The World. Lots of majors. That's divine right there. And one more. Love that. Bottom of the deck is the 2 of Wands. Top is the 7 of Cups. So the new mirror, you might have a lot of options at first with the 7 of Cups that you just need to pause on, right? 2 of Wands on the bottom, because they're not in alignment. We can't force things that aren't meant to be. So I feel like with the new mirror, initially, you are going to have a lot of options or a lot of directions that you're pulled in, right? Whether people are pursuing you or you are tempted to pursue other people. It's just going to be a lot of having to take a step back and pause and to really reflect on the energy that you're feeling and the actions that you feel anxious about taking. The 10 of Cups with the 4 of Cups. The new mirror Looks like spirit is giving you the right person, right? Letting go of the old soulmates, right? The 2 cups that are being released. There's 2 cups in that hand of spirit coming forward. You know, someone who is truly offering you partnership and fulfillment in that partnership, so where you don't need any other soulmates, you know, anymore. I do feel like it is knowing that you've met your person. I feel like you're going to know it. I feel like you're going to know it like you know it, like you know it. And it's going to ring a bell, right? Especially with the Tower and the Justice card. Like you might have this revelation one day, like they're my person. You're just going to feel it. And it's going to ring so true. I'm really getting that vibration of like ringing. Like it's going to ring a bell. You might even hear bells going off in the background. It's like a synchronicity. But it's so just, right? It's so just for being in that vibration of equal desire to honor. The Hanged One with the Champion of Swords is the Knight of Swords. And this is your intuition, your heart, right? Heart overhead. Your intuition is going to be communicating with you clearly. Really clear communication. And the World with the 8 of Swords, that is the end of trapped thinking. There is no guessing games, right? There is no word games or rules. It just flows so natural. It's going to shut the door on anxiety. Truly. So what does the new mirror look like? Looks fucking great. It looks really fucking great. So secret codename Obsidian, like know that your intuition is divine protection. You know, it is keeping you from aligning with people who either you would hurt or they would hurt you, or they will take your service but not be of service to you in return, where you would honor them but not be honored in return, right? That cycle of one-way gives, one-way honor, where you really do want to share in that beauty, right? Share in that benevolence, share in that light energy. And the more you tune into your own magic, right, your own inner wisdom, the more you stay grounded and reflect on how you feel, you're going to align yourself with the right person at the right time. And you're going to know. You're going to know. So secret codename Obsidian, I have faith that if you caught this reading, that it has made sense and that it will serve you well. Much love to each of you. Thank you, secret codename Obsidian, for getting the read. If anybody was drawn to the secret codename and is really grateful that they bought this read because you got to witness it and you needed it, then, you know, definitely drop a thank you in the comment for them. This is their ripple. This is their energy. This is them, you know. So if it helped you in some way, definitely leave a thank you for them in the comments. All right. Much appreciation for you, secret codename Obsidian. And I will see you guys for secret codename Giraffe in just a bit. You're most welcome, Christina.